My boyfriend's family had one rule, and I broke it on the first night. Meeting them was a huge deal. Mark and I had been dating for 6 months, and he was perfect, except for this weirdly intense way he talked about his family's values. He'd say things like, they're just very intentional with their resources. I figured they were super into recycling. I was not prepared for what I walked into. The first red flag was the house. It was a beautiful, big house in a great neighborhood, but inside, it felt empty. The furniture looked like it was salvaged from a high school drama department, and it was freezing. I could literally see my breath, but his parents, Ron and Carol, were just sitting there in thin sweaters, smiling. Dinner was a watery lentil soup that tasted vaguely of dish soap. Carol proudly announced it was made from the runoff of their boiled vegetables for the week. Then came the moment that changed everything. I reached for a paper napkin, and as I was wiping my mouth, I noticed a small stain. Without thinking, I just grabbed a second one. The entire table went silent. Not just quiet, but a deep, suffocating silence. Ron put his spoon down with a slow, deliberate click. Carol stared at the second napkin in my hand like I had just slapped her across the face. Mark looked absolutely horrified. He leaned over and whispered, 1 napkin per person, per meal. It's the rule. I tried to laugh it off, but nobody joined in. After a painfully awkward dessert of a single apple sliced into 5 translucent pieces, Mark pulled me aside. He explained that his family wasn't just frugal. They were the 3-time national champions of something called the American Frugality League. It was a real thing. Families from all over the country competed to see who could live on the lowest budget, tracking every single penny. My second napkin, he explained, had just cost them valuable points in the household consumables category. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. The freezing house was to save on heating. The pathetic dinner was to lower their grocery score. On the fridge, instead of family photos, there was a huge whiteboard with a leaderboard. Each family member had a column for infractions. And there it was, under a new column labeled guest. My name was written in red marker. Excessive napkin usage, 5 points. The next few weeks were a complete nightmare. To make up for my mistake, I had to prove I was worthy of dating a champion. Carol made me attend her waste reclamation workshops, where I learned how to turn dryer lint into fire starters and darn socks with my own hair. Ron taught me how to forage for dandelions and clovers in the public park for our dinner salads. They even made me switch to their family soap, a single sad bar of lye soap they all shared, which was kept in a locked box to prevent overuse. The final test was for me to plan a zero-cost anniversary date for Mark and me. I spent a week collecting free coffee, coupons, planning a scenic route to walk through a public garden, and packing a romantic picnic made entirely of free samples from Costco. I thought I nailed it. When I presented my plan to the family, Carol just smiled that thin, terrifying smile of hers. It's a good effort, she said, for a beginner. But you missed the point. The real test wasn't about planning a cheap date. It was to see if you cared enough about Mark's success to make the most frugal decision of all, breaking up with him. I was just speechless. She continued, a girlfriend is a net loss luxury item. The gifts, the dates, the emotional energy, you're dragging his score down. If you truly loved him, you'd set him free. I felt the room start to spin. All this suffering, all this humiliation, for what? Points in a stupid game? I looked at Ron, who was nodding in solemn agreement, and then at Mark, who was just staring at his feet, refusing to look at me. That's when I saw it. Tucked behind the leaderboard on the fridge was a brochure. The glossy paper and bright tropical colors stood out in the bleak gray house. It was for a 14-day, all-inclusive luxury cruise to the Caribbean. What's that? I asked, my voice shaking with rage. Carol beamed, for the first time showing genuine, unfiltered emotion. Oh, that's the grand prize for winning the national championship this year. All expenses paid. We're hoping to win it for a 4th time. The hypocrisy was so stunning, it felt like a physical blow. They were living in a self-imposed prison, eating weeds and shivering in the dark, all so they could win a prize that represented the exact opposite of everything they claimed to believe. They could have afforded 100 cruises if they just got normal jobs and turned on the heat. You're all insane, I whispered. I looked at Mark, waiting for him to defend me, to say something, anything. He finally looked up and said, you just don't understand the discipline it takes, the honor. I walked out without saying another word. Mark followed me to the door, pleading that I could learn the system. I just kept walking. The last time I saw him, months later, he was in the grocery store meticulously weighing individual stalks of celery to find the lightest one. He looked thin and cold and utterly miserable, and I've never been so grateful for using a second napkin in my entire life.